Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and Subaru could have done something great here, and that's the part that actually really hurts my soul. Not that they messed up, not that they actually failed, but that they were standing 10 feet from greatness, tripped over nothing, and then looked around and was like, this is fine, because 4 months, all the speculation, all the influencer takes, all the hopeful little breadcrumbs were built around one idea. Maybe, just maybe Subaru would finally figure it out. Maybe this is the moment they stopped playing defense, and maybe this is the return, the redemption arc, the thing that reminds everyone why STI meant something in the first place. And instead, what we got was a badge, not a drivetrain, not a rethink, not a statement, a freaking badge. And I need to be really clear up front because this gets twisted every single time. This is not about Japan finally getting a manual WRX again. That part is genuinely cool. That matters for that market. They lost it for years, and I'm happy for you guys. This is not the problem. See, the problem is that Subaru knew exactly what people would assume when they teased this thing. They knew the exact letters they were using. They knew what history they were poking at. They knew exactly what kind of hope they were letting breathe for just long enough to get clicks, headlines, and a ton of speculation. And then they revealed a WRX TS with an STI badge on it and acted surprised when Enthusiast felt like Lucy just yanked the football away again. Because here's the thing. This wasn't just an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't the internet being dramatic. It was predictable, painful predictable, and a lot of people actually called it. They just didn't want to believe it. So after a couple of days of research, let's talk about what this thing actually is. Underneath the hype name, the sharp symbol, the dramatic language about history and rebirth and motorsport soul, this is basically the same WRX TS that already exists in other markets. Same engine, same power, same fundamental setup. The changes are mostly trim, brakes, suspension, tuning, and branding. That's it. No meaningful power bump, no STI transmission, no DCCD, no wild homologation nonsense, no mechanical reason for this car to exist beyond we wanted a nicer WRX with a manual in Japan. Which again, that's fine. This car should exist. I'm not mad at that product. I'm mad at the badge because STI used to mean something very specific. It meant Subaru was willing to do the dumb thing, the expensive thing, the thing that made accountants absolutely sweat. It meant heavier clutches, beefed up gear sets, weird compromises, ride quality sacrifices, and cars that felt like they were built for people who cared more about stages than spreadsheets. STI was never subtle. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't really that safe. It was just loud, mechanical, and a little bit unhinged. And now it's basically Subaru's version of an appearance package with vibes. That is the shift, not the stick shift. That is the disappointment. This feels like less of an STI revival and more like Subaru doing what every other manufacturer does when a performance sub-brand becomes inconvenient. They soften it, they stretch it, they dilute it until it no longer demands anything from the product underneath. You've seen this movie 1,000 times. BMW did it, Mercedes did it, Audi did it. The moment a badge becomes valuable enough, it stops being protected and starts being monetized. And once that happens, you don't get it back. People keep saying this is like Audi S-Line and M Sport, and that comparison hurts because it is kind of accurate. Hey guys, real quick, Rocky from New York didn't think he'd win either until he actually did. GTR, cash, flight out here, weekend with us, car shipped home, life changed forever. If you've ever said, I never win anything, this is your moment to prove yourself wrong. Click the pinned comment, sign up, get entered, and go claim your shot. Now, back to the show. You see, those badges used to mean something. Now, they just are mostly wheels, trim, and the steering wheel logos. That's kind of fine. They sell cars. That doesn't move hearts for enthusiasts. And STI, it used to move hearts. And what makes this worse is that STI didn't need to reinvent the wheel to avoid this reaction. They didn't need a 400 horsepower monster. They didn't need carbon tubs or active aero or Nürburgring lap times. They needed to just try. They had the engine. The FA24 is proven. makes torque. It responds to tuning. It holds power better than most people expect. It is begging for a proper transmission behind it. They have the playbook: bigger turbo, stronger gearbox, DCCD, brake suspension. That is it. That's literally the formula. Subaru enthusiasts are not asking for the moon. They're asking for continuity. Instead, Subaru chose the safest possible interpretation of performance and wrapped it in nostalgia language. And that's what makes it feel cynical. Because if this were just called a WRX Sport Manual or WRX TS Japan Edition, the reaction would have been completely different. People would say, cool, Japan gets a stick again, neat spec, makes sense. But Subaru didn't call it that. They called it STI Sport. They leaned on history. They talked about motorsports. They used words like resurrection. You don't get to do that and then act confused when people expect substance. A lot of the defenders say this isn't meant for North America, and that is true. Subaru of America never hyped this, but that don't matter. The internet doesn't care about regional PR boundaries. The badge is global. The reputation is global, and Subaru knows that better than anyone. They just chose not to care, and that is the pattern, you guys. Subaru has been slowly drifting away from enthusiasts for a long time. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, incrementally, one safe decision at a time. The WRX, it got bigger, softer, more expensive. The STI disappeared entirely. The BRZ stayed alive, but always slightly compromised by corporate alignment. The lineup shifted hard toward crossovers, CVTs, safety systems, and outdoorsy lifestyle branding, which, again, from a business perspective, makes total sense. Subaru sells a ton of cars. They're not struggling. They're not in danger. They're just, don't really want to talk to enthusiasts anymore, and that's the uncomfortable truth, you guys. This isn't a Subaru failing. This is Subaru choosing a different customer. The WRX is still here because it has inertia, because, well, it has a name, because it fills this niche, but the hunger, well, that is long gone. The edge, that's long gone. The feeling that someone inside Subaru is fighting for enthusiasts and reckless, well, that is gone as well. That's why people joke that the STI logo should be Lucy holding the football, because every time there's a hint of hope, it turns out to be a lesson in managing expectations. And look, you guys, I don't think Subaru hates enthusiasts. I think they just decided we're not worth the risk anymore. The margins are better elsewhere. The lawsuits are fewer elsewhere. The volume is higher elsewhere. And when you think about it that way, the STI Sport thing makes perfect sense. It lets them keep the badge alive without committing to the engineering. It lets them sell nostalgia without responsibility. The problem is that enthusiasts can feel that instantly. That's why the reaction is disappointment, not anger. This isn't betrayal, it's resignation. People, they ain't shocked, they're just tired. They're tired of seeing what could have been, tired of watching competitors take risks where Subaru just plays defense, tired of being told safety systems and cladding and lifestyle marketing are the future of performance. And well, maybe they are, but if that is the case, then Subaru should stop pretending otherwise. Because once you turn STI into a trim level, you don't get to talk about rally heritage with a straight face anymore. You don't get to trade on that legacy without honoring it mechanically. This reveal didn't kill Subaru. It didn't even really hurt them. I mean, sales will continue. Crossovers are gonna sell. Life, it's gonna go on. What it did do is quietly confirm something a lot of people already felt. The era where Subaru builds cars for people who care too much is over. And the worst part is that it didn't have to be. They were so close. They just chose not to jump. So, what are your thoughts? And remember to go to win this ideal car to get entered to win your dream car plus cash. I've linked to it in the pinned first comment down below. Also, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out some of these ideal vids over here. I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Catch you next week. Remember to jump and promise me one thing. Keep living the ideal lifestyle.